She ghosted me to go with her ex after I paid for her surgery when he bailed. Her insurance fraud investigator couldn't find her either, until I helped, and now she is begging. All right, Reddit, strap in because this story is absolutely wild, and I still can't believe it happened to me. This whole thing went down over the past year, and honestly, I'm still processing it. My buddy Jake told me I needed to post this here because apparently it's Reddit gold material. So here we go. I'm 31 male, a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing company here in Michigan. Decent job, own my house that I actually take care of. Not trying to flex or anything, just setting the scene. I've always been the responsible type. Save my money, pay my bills on time, don't do stupid shit. My old man raised me to be practical, and after watching him lose everything in a messy divorce when I was a kid, I learned early to protect myself financially. Boring to some people, but it's worked out pretty well for me. 2 years ago, I met Chelsea, 28 female, through a mutual friend's barbecue. She was a dental hygienist, seemed sweet, had her life together. We hit it off immediately. She was funny, independent, paid for her own stuff on dates, which was honestly refreshing after some of the entitled women I dated before. The first few dates were perfect. She'd actually suggest splitting the check, wouldn't expect me to plan everything, and seemed genuinely interested in my work, even though I know engineering can be boring as hell to most people. We moved in together after about 8 months, which looking back was probably too fast, but whatever. At the time, it made sense. We were spending every night together anyway. She was paying rent on a tiny apartment across town, and my house had plenty of room. She moved in with just her essentials at first. Clothes, toiletries, laptop. Then gradually her stuff started appearing everywhere. Her decorative pillows on my couch, her fancy coffee maker in my kitchen, her organic shampoo bottles taking over my shower. Normal relationship progression stuff. Things were solid for the first year. Like, genuinely good. We'd cook together. She'd make these amazing stir-fries while I handled the grill on weekends. We'd binge Netflix shows, have people over for game nights, normal couple stuff. She never asked me for money, always pulled her weight with bills. Split utilities down the middle, bought her own groceries. Even insisted on paying for dates sometimes. Her friends seemed cool. My friends liked her. I actually thought I'd found someone real, you know? Someone who wasn't playing games or looking for a meal ticket. Jake approved of her too, which was huge. He's been my best friend since college and has seen me date some absolute train wrecks. After meeting Chelsea for the first time at a Tigers game, he pulled me aside and said, "Dude, she seems normal. Like, actually normal. Don't screw this up." High praise from Jake, who's usually skeptical of everyone I date. The first red flag should have been when she started mentioning her ex, Brandon, more often. At first, it was just casual stuff like, "Oh, Brandon and I used to go to that restaurant," or "Brandon hated that movie too." Annoying, but I figured everyone has exes and sometimes they come up in conversation. I'm not the jealous type, so I didn't make a big deal about it. My previous girlfriend had accused me of being too controlling just because I asked who she was texting at 2 a.m., so I was trying to be more chill this time around. But it started increasing in frequency. We'd be watching TV and she'd say, "Brandon always thought this show was stupid." We'd be at the grocery store and she'd pick up something saying, "Brandon got me hooked on these." It was like he was still part of our relationship somehow. When I mentioned it once, she got defensive and said I was being insecure, and she was just making conversation. So I dropped it. Then around January of last year, she tells me she needs surgery, ACL reconstruction. Apparently she tore it playing volleyball, which I didn't even know she played because she'd never mentioned volleyball once in the year and a half we'd been together, and had been putting off the surgery for almost 2 years because of the cost. Her insurance would cover some of it, but she'd still be on the hook for about $8,500 in deductibles and copays. She showed me the paperwork from the orthopedic surgeon, all official looking with medical terms I didn't understand. The doctor had recommended surgery back in 2021, but she'd declined because she couldn't afford it. Now, 2 years later, her knee was getting worse and she couldn't put it off any longer. She was stressed as hell about it, crying, saying she didn't know how she was going to afford it, that she'd been trying to save but kept coming up short. Every time her paycheck hit, something would come up. Car repairs, dental work, ironic for a dental hygienist, her student loans. The surgery was necessary. She was in pain, couldn't work out, could barely go upstairs without her knee giving out. I'd noticed her wincing sometimes when she stood up, or how she'd avoid certain activities. She'd stopped coming to the gym with me months ago, which I just assumed was her losing interest. Here's where I made my first mistake. I offered to pay for it. I know. Everyone reading this is probably screaming at their screen right now. But hear me out. We'd been together for over a year, living together. talking about getting engaged eventually. I had the money saved up. I made good money and lived below my means, so I had a solid savings account. I'd been saving for a potential down payment on a bigger house, or maybe a new truck. But this seemed more important. 8 grand wasn't going to break me. I still had another 20,000 in savings even after this. She was so grateful when I offered, crying happy tears, saying she couldn't believe how lucky she was to have me, promising she'd pay me back as soon as she could. She must have said, "I love you so much," about 50 times that night. We even had this whole moment where she was crying and hugging me and saying I was the best man she'd ever been with, that Brandon never would have done something like this for her. At the time, I thought that was a good thing, like I was better than her ex. Looking back, it was just another mention of Brandon. I told her not to worry about paying me back right away. We were building a life together. What's mine is hers. All that romantic bullshit. I actually said, "We're a team now. Your problems are my problems." God, I was such an idiot. The surgery was scheduled for March 15th. I took the day off work to drive her to the surgical center at 6 a.m., waited the whole 4 hours while they did the procedure, drove her home, got her settled on the couch with her painkillers and ice packs. I'd set up a whole recovery station, bought her new pillows, a heating pad, a knee brace, everything the doctor recommended. Spent the whole weekend taking care of her, getting her food, helping her to the bathroom, changing her ice packs every few hours. I was a goddamn saint. She was supposed to be off work for 6 weeks. I made sure she had everything she needed, meal prepped for her, set up a little station by the couch with water, snacks, TV remote, phone charger, books, magazines, the works. Even worked from home a few days that first week to keep an eye on her and make sure she was taking her pain meds on schedule. Her mom came by once but only stayed for like an hour. Her friends didn't visit at all, which I thought was weird, but Chelsea said they were all busy with work. Week 2 is when things got weird. She started being super secretive with her phone, like taking it to the bathroom with her, angling it away from me when she was texting, putting it face down on the table. Before, she'd leave it lying around, show me funny memes, ask me to check her texts if her hands were full. Now she was guarding it like it contained nuclear launch codes. When I asked who she was texting so much, she'd get defensive and say it was just friends checking on her, or her mom asking how the recovery was going. Then came the PT appointments. Physical therapy was 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. I offered to take her to the first few appointments, since she couldn't drive yet, but she insisted her friend Melissa would take her. Cool, whatever. I trusted her. Melissa and Chelsea had been friends since dental hygiene school, and I'd met her a few times at parties. Seemed like a decent person. Except one day I came home early from work, left at like 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m., because I finished a project ahead of schedule and my boss told me to take off early. Chelsea wasn't home. Her car was gone. I texted her asking where she was, and she said she was at PT. But here's the thing. Her PT appointments were at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. It was 3:15 p.m. When she got home around 4:30, I asked her about it. She got all flustered and said the appointment ran long because the therapist wanted to do some extra exercises with her. Then she grabbed coffee with Melissa after because they hadn't caught up in a while. Seemed plausible, but something felt off. The story came out too quickly, too rehearsed, and she wouldn't make eye contact when she told it. The next week, same thing. I happened to be home during the day. Plumber was coming to fix the kitchen sink that had been leaking for a month, and she left for a PT appointment at 2 p.m. Her appointments were still supposed to be at 10 a.m., according to the schedule on our fridge. I'm not usually a paranoid guy, but I decided to check. Called the PT clinic pretending I needed to confirm her next appointment. The receptionist was super helpful, looked up Chelsea's name, and told me her next appointment was Friday at 10 a.m., same as always. They'd never had any afternoon appointments for her. When I asked if her appointments ever ran long, the receptionist said they were usually done within an hour, maybe 90 minutes max if they were doing extended exercises. So where the hell was she going? I didn't confront her right away. Rookie move or smart move? Still not sure, but I wanted to see what else I could find out. Started paying more attention to her behavior. She was on her phone constantly, but always angled away from me. She'd take calls in the other room, said it was her mom or Melissa, but I never actually heard her talking to them. Started wearing more makeup even though she was supposedly just going to physical therapy and coming home. Got her nails done, which whatever, but she hadn't done that in months. When I complimented them, she said Melissa took her to get them done after PT as a healing treat. Sure. Then I noticed something else. She'd started watching what she ate more carefully, being pickier about meals. When I asked if she wanted me to grab pizza for dinner, she'd say no. She was trying to eat healthier to help her recovery. Started asking me to buy organic vegetables, lean proteins, all this stuff she'd never cared about before. Again, Not necessarily a red flag on its own, but combined with everything else? Yeah. She was also weirdly upbeat, like suspiciously happy. Someone recovering from major surgery, stuck at home all day, should be at least a little bit miserable. But Chelsea was always smiling, humming to herself, in a great mood. Whenever I asked how she was feeling, she'd say, "Great, so much better," and change the subject. The real bomb dropped in early May, about 6 weeks after her surgery. I came home from work on a Tuesday around 5:30 p.m. The house felt different the second I walked in. Quieter. Empty. Chelsea's car wasn't in the driveway, but that wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the complete silence. Usually she'd have music playing or the TV on. I walked through the house. Her stuff was gone. Not all of it. She left the furniture we'd bought together, the kitchen stuff, the decorations. But her clothes, her toiletries, her laptop, her personal stuff, just gone. Her side of the closet was empty. The bathroom counter where she kept her makeup was bare. Even her fancy coffee maker from the kitchen was gone. On the kitchen counter was an envelope with my name on it. Inside was a note, handwritten on plain white paper. Not even a real letter, just a few lines. "Ian, I can't do this anymore. I need space to figure things out. Don't try to contact me. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Chelsea." That's it. 2 years together, I paid for her $8,500 surgery, took care of her for weeks, and I get a fucking post-it note basically. I called her immediately, straight to voicemail. Her voice on the recording sounded so normal, so cheerful. "Hey, it's Chelsea. Leave a message." Like she wasn't actively destroying someone's life. Texted her. No response. Called again. Voicemail. Texted again. "What the hell is going on? Are you okay? Did something happen?" Nothing. Called her mom, who I'd always gotten along with. We'd had Thanksgiving at her house, went to family barbecues, the whole thing. She answered, but was super cold, like talking to a stranger. Said Chelsea needed space, and I should respect that. When I asked if Chelsea was okay, if something had happened, she just said, "She's fine. She's an adult making her own decisions," and hung up on me. I tried her friends. Melissa didn't answer. Called 3 times, straight to voicemail. Her other friend Katie answered, but told me to give Chelsea space and stop harassing her friends. And hung up before I could even explain that I wasn't harassing anyone. I was just trying to figure out what the hell happened. I was in complete shock. Like, what the actual fuck just happened? Did I do something wrong? Was she mad about something? We hadn't even been fighting. The last conversation we'd had that morning was about what to have for dinner. I'd suggested Chinese food. She'd said that sounded good. Normal domestic stuff. And now she was gone? Jake came over that night, found me sitting on the couch, beer in hand, staring at the wall like a zombie. I'd been sitting there for 3 hours, going through every conversation we'd had in the past month, trying to find some clue I'd missed. He read the note and immediately said, "Bro, she's either seeing someone else or having some kind of mental breakdown. Normal people don't ghost their live-in boyfriend who just paid for their surgery." I didn't want to believe it, but Jake's been my best friend since college, and he's usually right about this stuff. His exact words were, "Dude, healthy people don't ghost their live-in boyfriend who just paid for their surgery. Something shady's going on. I'm telling you, she either found someone else or she's having a complete psychotic break. And honestly, I don't think she's crazy." The next few days were brutal. I kept expecting her to reach out, explain, something. Nothing. Radio silence. Her number was still active. I may have called it once or twice or 20 times. But she never answered. Not even a text telling me to stop calling. I even drove by her mom's house once. Felt like a stalker, but I was desperate for answers. Her car wasn't there. Checked her friend Melissa's place. I knew where she lived because we'd gone to a party there once. Not there either. Her car had vanished along with her. About a week after she ghosted me, I got a text from an unknown number. "Stop looking for me. I'm safe. I need time. Delete my number." That was it. That was all I got. No explanation, no timeline, no nothing. Just delete my number like I was some crazy ex-boyfriend, and not the guy who'd been living with her and taking care of her for the past 2 months. I was pissed. Beyond pissed. I'd just dropped $8,500 on this woman, taken care of her, rearranged my whole schedule for her recovery, and she couldn't even give me a real explanation? Just, "I need space?" What does that even mean? Jake's advice was solid. "Look, man, you dodged a bullet. Yeah, you're out $8,000, but at least you found out what kind of person she is before you married her or had kids. Cut your losses and move on. Consider it an expensive lesson in not trusting people too quickly. Easier said than done, but I tried. Threw myself into work, started staying late, taking on extra projects, hit the gym harder, went from 3 days a week to 6, went out with the boys more, tried to pretend like I wasn't completely blindsided and confused. But every time I came home to my empty house, I'd see reminders of her everywhere. Her decorative pillows still on the couch, the dent in the mattress from where she slept, her stupid organic tea in the cupboard that I couldn't bring myself to throw away. That's when things got interesting. About 3 weeks after Chelsea disappeared, 3 weeks of silence, of wondering what the hell happened, I got a knock on my door. It was a Tuesday evening, around 7 p.m. I was eating leftover pizza and watching some true crime documentary. I opened the door to find this woman in a business suit holding a badge. "Ian Sullivan?" she asked. She was maybe 40, professional looking, serious expression. "Yeah? My name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm an insurance fraud investigator with Michigan Auto Insurance Fraud Division. I need to ask you some questions about Chelsea Morgan." Oh, this was about to get good. I invited her in. She sat at my kitchen table, pulled out a notebook and pen. Very official. "When's the last time you saw Ms. Morgan?" she asked, clicking her pen. "About 3 weeks ago. She moved out. Left me a note saying she needed space." Jennifer's eyebrow went up. "Moved out? Where did she go?" "No idea. She ghosted me. Won't answer my calls or texts. I don't know where she is." "Interesting." She wrote this down. "And what was your relationship with Miss Morgan?" "We were together for 2 years. Lived together for about a year. Or we did until she disappeared." Jennifer nodded, taking notes. "I understand you paid for her ACL reconstruction surgery in March?" "Yeah, $8,500. She didn't have the money for the copays and deductible. Her insurance covered most of it, but she still owed like $8,000 out of pocket." "And did you know that Ms. Morgan filed an insurance claim stating she injured herself in a car accident?" I just stared at her. "What?" "Ms. Morgan filed a claim with her auto insurance on March 1st, stating she was injured in a single car accident on February 28th. She claimed the accident caused her ACL tear and submitted medical bills totaling $47,000 to her insurance company for the surgery and related treatment." My brain was short-circuiting. "That's not..." "She told me she tore her ACL playing volleyball like 2 years ago, in 2021. She said she'd been putting off the surgery because she couldn't afford it." Jennifer nodded slowly. "That's what her medical records from 2021 indicate. She had an initial ACL tear from a volleyball injury that she never got treated. The insurance company is investigating because the medical records don't match up with the accident timeline she claimed. The surgeon's notes reference an old injury, not a recent trauma from a car accident. So she committed insurance fraud? That's what we're trying to determine." The insurance company paid out $38,500 to the hospital and surgical center based on her claim. We're now investigating whether the claim was fraudulent. If it was, that's a felony. I sat back in my chair. Holy shit. "Mr. Sullivan, we've been trying to locate Ms. Morgan for 2 weeks. She's not at her registered address, which I assume is this address?" I nodded. "She's not answering our calls, emails, certified letters, anything. She seems to have gone off-grid. We contacted her employer and they said she quit without notice 3 weeks ago. Right around the time she left you, it seems." "She quit her job?" "Yes. Gave no forwarding address, didn't file for her last paycheck, just stopped showing up. They said she called in sick for 3 days, then sent an email saying she was quitting effective immediately. Didn't even turn in her uniforms or ID badge." This was insane. "So what do you need from me?" "Any information about where she might be. Friends, family, anywhere she might have gone. We need to interview her about the claim. If she doesn't cooperate with the investigation, we'll have to escalate to criminal charges." I told Jennifer everything I knew. About Chelsea's mom in Dearborn, her friends Melissa and Katie, what little I knew about where they lived. Then I remembered her ex, Brandon. She was talking about her ex more in the months before she left, I said. "Guy named Brandon. I don't know his last name, but he lives somewhere in Ohio. Cleveland, I think." Jennifer wrote this down. "Do you know anything else about him?" "Not really. She dated him for like 3 years before me. They broke up like 6 months before we met. She'd mention him sometimes, where they used to go, stuff they did together. It was annoying, but I didn't think much of it. That's all I know." Jennifer asked me a few more questions. When exactly Chelsea left, if I'd noticed any changes in her behavior, if she'd mentioned anything about a car accident. I told her about the secretive behavior, the mysterious PT appointments, all of it. "Mr. Sullivan, I have to ask, did Ms. Morgan have a car accident on February 28th? "Not that I know of. I mean, she drove to work every day. She never mentioned an accident. Her car didn't have any damage. If she'd been in an accident, I would have known about it." Jennifer wrote this down. "And she never mentioned filing an insurance claim?" "No. She just asked me to pay for the surgery because her insurance didn't cover enough of it." Jennifer looked up at me. "Her auto insurance policy has a medical payment coverage of $50,000 for injuries sustained in an accident. If she was actually injured in a car accident, her auto insurance would have covered all of it plus more. She wouldn't have needed your money. The pieces were clicking into place. She'd scammed me and the insurance company. Jennifer thanked me for my time and handed me her card. If you hear from Miss Morgan or remember anything else, please call me immediately. This is an active investigation, and we take insurance fraud very seriously. After she left, I just sat there for a while. Then I texted Jake. Dude, you're not going to believe this. So let me paint you a picture of what I was dealing with. My live-in girlfriend, who I'd paid $8,500 to have surgery, had committed insurance fraud by claiming a fake car accident to scam an additional $38,500. Ghosted me immediately after recovering from the surgery. I paid for quit her job without notice and disappeared. Was now on the run from an insurance fraud investigator, had apparently planned all of this in advance. The audacity was actually impressive in a really messed up way. I spent the next few days doing some amateur detective work. Started going through Chelsea's social media, which she hadn't blocked me from, surprisingly. Her Instagram was still public. Her last post was from March 20th, a week after her surgery, showing her on the couch with her leg propped up, ice pack visible, caption recovery mode, hashtag ACL surgery, hashtag road to recovery. All her friends commenting, "You got this," and "Heal up, babe," and "So proud of you." Then I noticed something in her tagged photos. One from April 15th. She was tagged by someone named Brandon_Chen87. The photo showed her at some restaurant, smiling, leg clearly healed up enough to be sitting normally. No brace, no crutches visible. Caption: "Good to have you back in Cleveland, Ohio." Her ex Brandon was in Cleveland. I clicked on Brandon's profile. Private account, but I could see his profile picture. Asian guy, mid-30s, pretty boy type with styled hair and designer clothes. His bio said, "Paralegal, Cleveland, living my best life." I screenshotted the photo and sent it to Jennifer's email with a note. "Found this. Looks like she might be in Cleveland with her ex Brandon Chen. His Instagram is Brandon_Chen87. Jennifer called me the next morning, sounding excited. "Mr. Sullivan, this is excellent work. We've been searching for her in Michigan, checking all her known addresses. I'll coordinate with our Ohio team and see if we can locate her there." "Happy to help," I said. And I was. Chelsea had screwed me over, committed fraud, and disappeared. Anything I could do to help her face consequences felt good. "One more thing," Jennifer said. "You mentioned she was talking about her ex more before she left. Did she ever mention him in connection with the surgery or insurance?" I thought back. Not directly, but she did mention once that Brandon had some legal background and knew about insurance stuff. This was back in February, right before she scheduled the surgery. Very interesting. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. About a week later, Jennifer called me again. "Mr. Sullivan, we've located Ms. Morgan. She's living in Cleveland with Brandon Chen. We interviewed her yesterday regarding the insurance claim. My heart was pounding. And she confessed, admitted the claim was fraudulent, said she fabricated the car accident because she knew her insurance would cover more if it was accident-related versus a sports injury. She's cooperating with the investigation." Good. There's more. During the investigation, we discovered that Brandon Chen was also involved. He's the one who told her to file the fraudulent claim. He works as a personal injury paralegal and apparently has done this scheme before with other people. He'd help them file fraudulent accident claims, they'd get the insurance payout, and he'd take a cut, of course. Of course Brandon was behind it. The whole thing made sense now. She'd rekindled things with Brandon. He'd convinced her to fake a car accident to get the surgery paid for by insurance, and they'd scammed me for an extra $8,000 on top of it. I was just the convenient schmuck who loved her enough to pay. What happens now? Ms. Morgan is being charged with insurance fraud and filing a false police report. Those are felonies in Michigan. Mr. Chen is also being charged as an accessory and conspiracy to commit fraud. The insurance company is seeking full restitution of the $38,500 they paid out, plus penalties and investigation costs. What about the $8,500 I paid? That's a civil matter. You'd have to sue her to recover those funds. The criminal case is separate from your personal loss. Great. Just great. Jennifer thanked me again for my help and said she'd keep me updated on the case. I sat there processing everything. Chelsea had used me. Completely used me. Got me to pay for her surgery while she scammed the insurance company for nearly $40,000. Then ran off to Cleveland to be with the ex-boyfriend who'd helped her plan the whole thing. The betrayal was unreal. But honestly, at least now I had answers. At least I knew why she'd left. It wasn't about needing space or figuring things out. It was about getting away with fraud. I told Jake everything that night over beers at his place. "Bro," he said. This is the craziest shit I've ever heard. Like, what kind of sociopath does that? Plans a whole insurance scam, gets her boyfriend to pay for the surgery on top of it, then ghosts him to run off with her ex? Apparently the kind I was dating. You gonna sue her for the 8 grand? I thought about it. Yeah, I think I am. She doesn't get to steal from me and just walk away. I contacted a lawyer the next week, laid out the whole situation, the relationship, the surgery payment, the insurance fraud, everything. He said I had a solid case for getting my money back since I'd paid under false pretenses. She'd told me it was an old volleyball injury, and she couldn't afford the surgery, but she was actually planning to commit insurance fraud and already had her insurance covering it. The fact that she's been charged with insurance fraud actually helps your case, my lawyer said. It proves she was being deceptive about the whole situation. Any judge will see that you were defrauded as much as the insurance company was. We filed the lawsuit in early June. Chelsea was served at Brandon's apartment in Cleveland. From what my lawyer told me, she completely broke down when the process server showed up. Guess she thought she'd gotten away with everything. The lawsuit was pretty straightforward. I had bank records showing the $8,500 wire transfer to the surgical center. I had text messages where she'd thanked me for paying, where she'd promised to pay me back someday, where she'd told me she loved me, and I was the best thing that ever happened to her. I had Jennifer's statement about the insurance fraud investigation. I had the timeline showing she disappeared right after recovering. Open and shut case. Chelsea's lawyer tried to argue that it was a gift, and I couldn't ask for it back. My lawyer countered that it was paid under fraudulent pretenses, and I wouldn't have paid if I'd known she was planning to scam the insurance company and then abandon me to run off with her ex. The case dragged on for months. Discovery, depositions, all that legal bullshit. Chelsea had to come back to Michigan for depositions. My lawyer said she looked terrible, like she'd aged 5 years in a few months. I didn't go to her deposition, didn't want to see her. But during this time, I started hearing things through the grapevine. Chelsea's mom called me in August. First time I'd heard from her since Chelsea disappeared. Ian, I need to tell you something, she said. Her voice was shaky, like she'd been crying. I didn't know about any of it. Brandon, the fraud, none of it. Chelsea told me she was staying with a friend because you two had gotten into a fight and needed space. I believed her. Okay? I didn't know what to say to this woman. Chelsea's here now. She's staying with me. She and Brandon broke up. He used her, Ian. Once the fraud charges came, he wanted nothing to do with her. Said she was on her own. I almost laughed. Of course he did. She's a mess, Ian. She's facing felony charges. She owes the insurance company almost $40,000. Her career is over, and Brandon left her the second things got hard. She has nothing. That's unfortunate, I said flatly. She wants to talk to you. Absolutely not. Ian, please. She knows she messed up. She's so sorry. She wants to make things right. She can start by paying me back the $8,500 she owes me. She doesn't have that kind of money right now. The insurance company is garnishing her wages. She can't find work in her field with felony charges pending. Then we have nothing to talk about. I hung up, blocked her mom's number too. I was done with all of them. September rolled around. The criminal case against Chelsea was moving forward. She'd been offered a plea deal. Plead guilty to insurance fraud, pay full restitution to the insurance company, 3 years probation, 200 hours community service. If she didn't take it, she'd go to trial and potentially face up to 5 years in prison. My lawyer told me that if she took the plea deal and had to pay $38,500 to the insurance company, she'd have no money to pay me. We could get a judgment against her, but collecting would be nearly impossible. So I'm just screwed? I asked. Not necessarily. If she goes to trial and is found guilty, you might have better leverage for restitution through the criminal case. But there's no guarantee. And trials are unpredictable. I told him to keep pushing the civil case. I wanted my money back. And I wanted Chelsea to face real consequences for what she did to me. October. Chelsea took the plea deal. Plead guilty to insurance fraud. Got sentenced to 3 years probation and ordered to pay $38,500 restitution to the insurance company over the next 5 years. She also had to do 200 hours of community service and attend financial counseling. My lawyer filed a motion to include my $8,500 in the restitution order, arguing that I was also a victim of her fraud. It was denied because I wasn't the direct victim of the insurance fraud itself. We were told to continue with the civil suit. Brandon ended up taking a plea deal too. 1 year probation and a fine. He was a lawyer's assistant, and this was career-ending for him. Last I heard, he got disbarred from working as a paralegal and was working at his family's restaurant. Then in November, something wild happened. Chelsea showed up at my house. I came home from work on a Friday evening, and she was sitting on my porch steps. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked terrible, like genuinely rough, hair greasy and pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, wearing old sweatpants and a hoodie that looked like it hadn't been washed in days. She'd lost probably 20 pounds, not in a healthy way. Dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept properly in months. "Ian," she said, standing up when she saw me. "You need to leave," I said immediately, not even walking up the steps. "Right now. Please, just hear me out. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. No. Get off my property or I'm calling the cops. You're violating the no-contact order from the lawsuit. Ian, I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I need your help. The audacity. The sheer fucking audacity. My help? Are you serious right now?" Tears started rolling down her face. "I don't have anyone else. My family's done with me. My friends won't talk to me. I lost my job. I can't find a new one because I have a felony on my record now. Brandon left me the second I got charged. I have nothing. That's what happens when you commit fraud and screw over everyone around you. Actions have consequences. I know I was wrong. But Ian, I'm begging you, please drop the lawsuit. I can't afford to pay you back right now. I'm barely surviving. I'm living in my car half the time. You're living in your car? The same car you claimed was in an accident to commit insurance fraud? That's rich." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "I sold that car. The insurance company made me. I'm driving my mom's old Honda now. That's not my problem, Chelsea. You made your choices. Please, I'll pay you back. I promise. Just give me time. Don't make me go bankrupt over this. I'm already paying the insurance company. I can't pay you too." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I felt nothing. No sympathy, no anger, nothing. She'd made her choices. Now she was facing the consequences. "You used me," I said calmly. "You took my money. You lied to me. You committed fraud. And then you ghosted me to run off with your ex. The same ex who helped you plan the whole scam. And now you want my sympathy?" I was stupid. I was in love with Brandon and he convinced me it was a good idea. He said insurance companies have tons of money, they wouldn't miss it, and we'd get the surgery paid for plus some extra cash. I didn't think about what it would do to you. I didn't think about the consequences. That's pretty obvious. Ian, please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. The answer is no, Chelsea. See you in court. I walked past her into my house and locked the door behind me. She sat on my porch crying for about 20 minutes before finally leaving. I watched her from the window. She got into a beat-up Honda with a dented bumper and sat in the driver's seat crying before eventually driving away. Jake came over that night. I told him about Chelsea showing up. "Dude, that's crazy. She really thought you'd just forgive her and drop everything? Apparently. What did she expect? That you'd welcome her back with open arms after she stole from you, committed fraud, and disappeared? I don't know what goes through her head anymore. And I don't care." The civil trial was scheduled for January. 2 weeks before trial, Chelsea's lawyer contacted mine with a settlement offer. She'd pay me $3,000 immediately and $1,000 a month for 5 months after that. Total of $8,000. I was missing $500, but my lawyer recommended I take it. "You'll spend more than that in legal fees if we go to trial, and there's no guarantee she'll actually be able to pay a judgment. At least this way you get most of your money back and you don't have to sit through a trial where she'll probably cry and play the victim." I thought about it for a day. Part of me wanted to take her to trial, just to watch her squirm. But the practical part of me knew my lawyer was right. I agreed to the settlement. She paid the $3,000 upfront in December, apparently borrowed it from her dad, who made her sign a promissory note like she was a stranger. Started the monthly payments in January. As of last month, she's made 4 of the 5 payments. 1 more to go, and then we're done forever. But here's the kicker. I found out through mutual friends, the few who stayed neutral in all this, that Chelsea tried to get back together with Brandon a few months ago. Drove to Cleveland, showed up at his work, begged him to take her back. Said they could start over somewhere new, that she'd learned her lesson. He told her to get lost. Called her toxic and said he wanted nothing to do with her. Apparently even told her that using me was the stupidest thing you've ever done because that dude actually loved you and you threw it away for what? 20 grand split between us? So she'd destroyed our relationship, committed fraud, lost her career, gotten a felony record, and the guy she did it all for wants nothing to do with her because he realized she's a liability. Karma's a beautiful thing. As for me, I'm doing great. Got a promotion at work in December. Senior mechanical engineer with a nice raise. Bought myself a new truck with some of the settlement money. 2023 F-150 Platinum, fully loaded. The rest went back into savings. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.